You probably think human evolution is over, that it happened in the distant past, that somewhere between stone tools and smartphones, the process that shaped your ancestors finally stopped. But the real answer is far stranger. Look around. Cities stretch across continents, airplanes cross oceans in hours, tiny glowing screens connect billions of people. Everything feels modern, finished, complete. But evolution does not care about skyscrapers or technology. It only cares about one thing: survival. And survival never stopped, so why would evolution stop? For most people, evolution feels like a story with an ending. Fish became amphibians, amphibians became reptiles, some reptiles became mammals. Eventually, after millions of years, humans appeared. The story seems complete, doesn't it? Yet that picture hides something important. Evolution is not a ladder climbing towards perfection. It never was. The naturalist Charles Darwin understood this better than anyone. Evolution is simply change across generations. If traits influence who survives and who has children, those traits can spread. That process does not require mammoths, saber-toothed cats, or prehistoric forests. It only requires variation and selection. And both still exist today. Right now, inside every city, inside every village, inside every family tree, your species is still changing. The question is not whether human evolution continues, the question is how much. One reason people imagine evolution has stopped is because change feels invisible. You cannot watch a mountain form, you cannot watch a continent drift, and you cannot watch evolution happen in real time, at least not easily. Human generations are relatively long, the differences accumulate slowly. Yet when scientists compare DNA from ancient humans to DNA today, they find evidence of recent change almost everywhere they look. Some of the strongest evidence comes from something surprisingly ordinary: milk. Most mammals lose the ability to digest milk after infancy. Human ancestors were no different. For most of human history, drinking milk as an adult would have caused serious digestive problems. Then something unusual happened. Certain populations began herding animals, cattle, goats, sheep. Milk became a valuable source of calories. Individuals who could continue producing the enzyme lactase into adulthood gained an advantage. Over generations, that trait spread rapidly. Genetic studies show this happened relatively recently in evolutionary terms, not hundreds of thousands of years ago, only within the last several thousand years. That means evolution was still reshaping human biology long after agriculture appeared, long after villages became civilizations, long after history had already begun.
And milk is only one example. Consider high mountains. Most people struggle at extreme altitudes. Oxygen levels drop, the body works harder, fatigue arrives quickly. Yet populations living for thousands of years in places like the Tibetan Plateau developed remarkable adaptations. Research involving geneticist Anna D'Arienzo and many other scientists identified genetic changes associated with surviving low-oxygen environments. These populations often avoid some of the dangerous physiological responses experienced by newcomers. The human body adapted, not in ancient prehistory, in relatively recent history. What does that suggest? It suggests evolution never received the memo that civilization had supposedly ended its job. The environment changed. Human biology responded. The cycle continued. Then there is disease. For most of history, infectious diseases were among humanity's greatest killers. Every epidemic became a filter. Every outbreak altered survival patterns. Genetic variants affecting immune responses could influence who lived and who died. Scientists studying ancient DNA have discovered evidence that disease pressures shaped human genomes repeatedly. The biological consequences of past epidemics are still visible today. Your immune system contains echoes of battles you never fought, battles fought by ancestors whose names disappeared thousands of years ago. But their survival changed the probabilities carried within your DNA, and that process continues. New diseases emerge, old diseases evolve, human populations continue adapting, the relationship never ends. Still, many people argue that technology has replaced evolution. Medicine saves lives, food production supports billions, modern society reduces many traditional survival pressures. That sounds convincing until you look closer. Technology does not eliminate selection, it changes it. Think about eyeglasses. Before modern optics, severe vision problems could create challenges in many environments. Today, glasses compensate for those limitations. The selection pressure changes. Think about transportation. Think about communication. Think about medicine. Each innovation reshapes the environment humans experience. Evolution responds to environments. Therefore, technological environments matter too. In fact, they may create entirely new pressures unlike anything your ancestors encountered. This leads to a fascinating possibility. The future of human evolution may be influenced as much by culture as by nature. Biologist Joseph Henrich has spent years studying how culture shapes human behavior and development. His work highlights something extraordinary. Humans do not merely adapt biologically to environments. Humans also create environments that influence future adaptation. Culture changes the game, then biology responds, then culture changes the game again. The feedback loop continues.
Imagine a species capable of constantly redesigning its own evolutionary landscape. That species already exists. It is you. Yet the story becomes even stranger. Human evolution may not always involve obvious physical changes. When people imagine evolution, they picture longer limbs, larger brains, or dramatic transformations. But many evolutionary changes occur beneath the surface. Changes in metabolism, changes in immune function, changes in development, changes in how genes are regulated. Subtle shifts can have significant consequences, and because those shifts are often invisible, people assume nothing is happening. But invisible does not mean absent. Consider the famous work of geneticist Stephen Stearns and colleagues, who examined long-term population data to identify ongoing evolutionary trends in humans. Their findings suggested measurable evolutionary changes can occur even within modern populations. The details are complex. The conclusion is simple. Human evolution is not merely a historical event. It is an ongoing process. Then comes an uncomfortable question. What exactly are humans adapting to now? For most of history, the answer was relatively straightforward. Predators, climate, disease, food shortages, physical dangers. Today, the situation is different. Many of the strongest influences on your daily life are psychological rather than physical. Social status, information overload, digital communication, constant stimulation. These conditions are extraordinarily new. Your ancestors never experienced them. The human brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in small social groups. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar became well known for research exploring relationships between brain size and social complexity. His work helped popularize the idea that humans evolved for social worlds dramatically smaller than today's networks. Yet now, a single person can interact with thousands of individuals online, every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. The scale is unprecedented. Your ancient psychology encounters modern realities it never anticipated. This mismatch explains many surprising behaviors. Why does social rejection hurt so much? Why does public embarrassment feel physically painful? Why does comparison seem impossible to escape? Because for most of human history, belonging mattered a great deal. Exclusion from a small ancestral group could be catastrophic. Your brain still treats social threats seriously, even when those threats arrive through glowing rectangles in your pocket. But does that mean the brain itself will evolve? Potentially. Given enough generations, persistent pressures can influence populations. The challenge is prediction. Evolution has no destination, no blueprint, no master plan. It responds to circumstances, and circumstances keep changing. Some scientists speculate future humans may adapt to urban environments in unexpected ways. Others wonder whether changing diets, medical technologies, or reproductive patterns could influence future evolutionary trajectories. No one knows exactly what will happen. That uncertainty is part of the story. Evolution is not a script, it is an experiment, one running continuously across billions of lives. Then there is perhaps the most radical possibility of all. What if humans begin directing evolution intentionally? For nearly all of history, evolution operated without conscious control. Mutations appeared, selection acted, generations passed. Now, technologies such as genetic engineering raise questions previous generations could barely imagine. What happens when a species gains the ability to alter its own biology? What happens when evolution becomes partly intentional? The ethical questions are enormous. The scientific questions are equally profound. For the first time, evolution may involve participants who understand the process itself. That changes everything. Or perhaps it changes nothing. After all, intentional decisions still become part of the environment. They become another factor shaping future outcomes. The mechanism evolves, the principle remains. Change continues. And that brings the story back to you. Right now, your heart beats using biological systems inherited from countless ancestors. Your immune cells patrol your body using strategies refined across immense stretches of time. Your brain interprets the world through machinery shaped long before cities existed. You are ancient, yet you are also modern, a product of the past living inside conditions that never existed before. That combination is unique. No generation before yours has experienced this exact world. No future generation will either. The environment keeps shifting, culture keeps changing, technology keeps advancing, and evolution keeps responding, slowly, quietly, relentlessly. Perhaps the biggest misconception about evolution is the belief that it moves toward completion, as though there were a final version of humanity waiting somewhere ahead. But nature does not produce final versions, only temporary ones. Every species is a snapshot, a moment in an ongoing process, a pause between past adaptations and future possibilities. Humans are no exception. The person reading these words is not the endpoint of evolution. Neither are your children. Neither are their descendants. The story remains unfinished. It always will. Because evolution was never building toward perfection. It was only responding to the present, and the present never stays still. You probably think human evolution is over, but the real answer is that you may be living inside one of its newest chapters.